It was supposed to be an easy night. Evan Ross had been delivering pizzas for almost 2 years, and Friday nights always paid the best. The tips, the laughter, the smell of melted Cheez-It, all made the endless driving worth it. But that night, the sky was different. Heavy gray clouds hung low over the Pine Hollow woods, and his phone kept losing its signal. The last order came in at 11:43 p.m., just one large pepperoni pizza. The address was written in faded ink on the slip. 117 Pine Hollow Road. Evan frowned. He'd never heard of it before. He punched it into his phone, but the GPS just blinked and froze. He tapped the screen, sighed, and grabbed his old, creased map from the glove box. Pine Hollow Road wasn't listed anywhere. But curiosity, or maybe just plain stubbornness, made him try anyway. He turned off the main highway and onto a narrow, twisting dirt road lined with tall, dark trees. His headlights bounced off branches that seemed to close in around his car, like a tunnel with no end. After 10 minutes, a knot of unease began to form in his stomach. There were no houses, no mailboxes, just an endless, suffocating forest. He decided to call the number on the receipt. He put the phone to his ear, but the line only produced a faint, crackling static. He was about to hang up when a voice, quiet and drawn out, whispered through the noise. "Keep going straight." Evan froze, his hand tightening on the steering wheel. "Who is this?" he asked, his own voice sounding small in the car. There was only silence. Then, the voice repeated itself, with the same unsettling calm. "Keep going straight." Every instinct screamed at him to turn around, to floor it back to the brightly lit highway. But there was something about the tone. It wasn't threatening, it was almost pleading. So, against his better judgment, he continued. After what felt like another mile, a small wooden cabin appeared at the end of a muddy trail. A single, weak light glowed through a grimy window. He parked beside an old, rusted pickup truck and stepped out, pizza box in hand. The air was thick, smelling of wet earth and something else. Something metallic, like old pennies or blood. Evan walked up to the door and knocked. No answer. He knocked again, harder this time. With a long, low creak, the door swung open just an inch. Inside, candlelight flickered across a bare wooden room. "Hello," he called out, his voice wavering slightly. "Pizza delivery." No one answered. The only sound was the faint, rhythmic crackle of a record player coming from a dark corner. He pushed the door wider and cautiously stepped inside. The pizza box suddenly felt heavy in his hands, like a stone. The room was nearly empty. There was a single table, a chair, and on the table, an old tape recorder. The spools of the tape were spinning slowly. He leaned closer and heard a voice. His own voice. "This is Evan Ross," the recording said. "Just having trouble finding your place." His stomach dropped. It was the exact phrase he had spoken into the static-filled phone just minutes ago. He took a sharp step back, nearly tripping over the threshold. That's when he noticed the muddy footprints, fresh ones, leading from the front door toward a back door he hadn't seen before. "Hello," he called again, his voice trembling this time. The tape recorder clicked loudly and began to rewind on its own, the worry sound filling the dead silence of the cabin. Then, it clicked again and started to play. But this time, the voice wasn't his. It was slower, distorted, as if it were being spoken through water. "You shouldn't have come here, Evan." His pulse exploded in his chest. He dropped the pizza, fumbled for his car keys, and bolted outside. He spun around, ready to jump into his car and speed away, but his heart stopped. The spot where he parked was empty. His car was gone. The only things left were the tire marks in the mud, leading away, back into the suffocating darkness of the forest. A faint humming sound drifted from behind him. It grew steadily louder, a low thrum that seemed to vibrate in his bones. He forced himself to turn back, toward the cabin. The front door was wide open now, and a dim figure stood in the doorway. It was tall, impossibly thin, with a head that was tilted at a crooked, unnatural angle and arms that didn't move right. The humming grew louder and louder, a terrifying bass note that began to match the frantic pounding of his own heart. He didn't wait. He just ran. He plunged into the woods, branches whipping and cutting at his face. He didn't care where he was going, just away from that thing. He ran until his lungs burned and his legs felt like they were on fire. When he finally dared to stop and look behind him, the cabin lights were gone. Everything was pitch black. He pulled out his phone, his hand shaking so badly he could barely hold it. He tried calling his boss, 911, anyone. But the call wouldn't go through. Instead, his phone displayed a single, strange message on the screen. Delivery completed. No one saw Evan again after that night. The next morning, a park ranger, out on a routine patrol, found a pizza box half buried in the mud near an old forgotten trail. Inside, there was no pizza. There was just a cassette tape with the words Pine Hollow Road scrawled on the label. When the ranger played it, he heard nothing but the sound of silence, except for one faint, chilling whisper at the very end. Next delivery. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more tales from the shadows. Stay safe out there. Malik Turner had been pedaling through the dark streets of Chicago for 3 years, weaving between traffic with a backpack full of fast food and a heart full of ambition. He was saving up to start a small studio, somewhere quiet where he could make music instead of sandwiches. That night, the air was heavy with fog and streetlights buzzed like dying insects. His shift was almost over when the EP pinged one last order. Morgan Apartments, Unit 3A. Malik sighed. The building was across town in a part of Chicago he didn't like riding through at night. Too many dark corners, too many stories whispered between riders about people who never came back. Still, a delivery was a delivery. He needed the tip. He pedaled fast, tires hissing against wet pavement. When he reached the building, something felt off. The Morgan Apartments looked abandoned. No lights, no cars in the lot. The front gate hanging half open, like a broken jaw. He checked the receipts. Again Unit 3A. Maybe it was just an old building. Maybe someone still lived here. He chained his bike and walked up the cracked stairs, each step creaking under his weight. The hallway smelled like mold and old rain. His sneakers squeaked on the linoleum as he reached the 3rd floor. Unit 3A's door was half shut. He hesitated, then knocked. No answer. He knocked again, louder this time. Something moved inside. Slow footsteps approached the door, then stopped. He heard breathing soft, uneven, almost like a child's. Delivery for Morgan. He called out. A whisper came through the crack. Please, help me. His heart jumped. It was a girl's voice, shaky, desperate. Hey, are you okay? The chain on the door rattled. Through the small gap, he saw one eye wide, scared, glinting in the dim hallway light. He locked me in, she said, voice trembling. Please, don't go. Malik's stomach tightened. Who locked you in? Before she could answer, something heavy dragged across the floor behind her. The sound made the girl flinch. Then she whispered, he's coming. Malik backed up. Who's coming? The lights in the hallway flickered once, then went out completely. He fumbled for his phone and turned on the flashlight. The beam barely cut through the dark. He aimed it toward the door. The girl was gone. The chain still swung lightly, as if someone had just touched it. His breath fogged in front of him. Hello, he called. No sound. Then the door to 3A creaked open on its own. Inside was pitch black. The smell of rot hit him hard. He took one cautious step forward, shining the light into the apartment. The walls were covered in peeling wallpaper, the furniture draped with dusty sheets. And then he saw the drawings, hundreds of them pinned to the walls. Crude sketches of a tall, shadowy figure with long arms and no face. In the middle of the room was a small bed. A teddy bear sat on the pillow, its fur stiff with grime. He stepped closer. The bear's head slowly turned toward him. He stumbled back, dropping his phone. The screen cracked, the flashlight flickered, and then died. The darkness swallowed him. Somewhere near the window, something whispered. Not the girl's voice this time. Something deeper, older. She's mine. Malik bolted for the hallway, slammed into the wall, and ran down the stairs 2 at a time. When he burst out the front door, the fog outside was thicker than before. He reached a sidewalk, but his bike was gone. In its place was a small note pinned to the chain. It was torn, smudged. and written in a child's shaky handwriting. "Thank you for trying. He doesn't let anyone leave." When police checked the address the next morning, there was no Morgan apartments. The entire block was an empty lot. But they did find one thing buried near the curb: Malik's cracked phone, still recording. The last 2 seconds of audio were faint, but clear enough to hear a small voice whispering through static. "Delivery received." It was close to midnight when Evan Carter got the order and express delivery to an address that didn't show up on GPS. He was exhausted, his last shift for the night, and just wanted to go home. But the payout was too good, triple the usual fee for one meal. A rural address, the app said. Easy money, he thought. The order came from a user named Mrs. Holloway. No photo, no order history, just an address on Highway 19, right where the road started to vanish into the forest. Evan hesitated. That stretch was famous for being empty for miles. But he shrugged it off. It was just food, not a haunted house. He picked up the order from a small diner, a warm box of soup, a sandwich, and tea. The owner gave him a weird look when he read the address. "You sure about this one?" she asked quietly. Evan laughed. "What, the forest is haunted or something?" The owner didn't laugh back. "That house hasn't been lived in for years." That was the first red flag. Still, Evan drove off, the quiet hum of his car echoing in the still night. The trees grew thicker as he went deeper into Highway 19. His phone signal started to fade, and his GPS began to flicker before freezing completely. "Great," he muttered, switching to his flashlight app and following the narrow dirt path until he saw a dim light ahead, a single porch lamp flickering weakly. The house looked ancient. The windows were boarded, the paint was peeling, and the roof sagged slightly as if the place was tired of standing. Evan parked and stepped out, clutching the food bag. Before he could knock, the front door creaked open by itself. A woman's soft voice floated out. "Come in, dear. I've been waiting." His stomach tightened. He couldn't see anyone, just the faint glow of a candle deeper inside. Against his better judgment, he stepped in. The air smelled faintly of mold and something metallic like rust or blood. He saw a shadow move in the next room. "Mrs. Holloway," he called out, forcing his voice to stay steady. "Yes," the voice answered. "Bring it here, please. I can't walk anymore." He walked slowly toward the sound, the floorboards groaning under his shoes. When he reached the living room, his hand froze. There was no one there, only a rocking chair, swaying gently. As if someone had just stood up. On the table beside it sat an old photograph of a smiling woman holding a small boy. Written on the back, in faded ink, were the words, "Evan and Mom, -1997. He stumbled backward, heart hammering. What the hell is this?" The candle flickered violently, and then he heard it again, the same voice, but closer, almost behind him. "You came back to feed me, just like you promised." Evan turned, and in that split second, the flickering candle revealed her, a pale, translucent woman with hollow eyes, wearing a tattered nightgown, her mouth stretched into an impossible smile. He screamed, dropping the food bag. The soup spilled across the dusty floor, and steam hissed up like smoke. The woman crouched, dipping her fingers into the spilled liquid and whispering. "You never finished your dinner that night." He ran. He didn't stop to look back, didn't even grab his phone. He sprinted toward his car, but when he reached the road, there was no car, only his reflection staring back at him in the dark glass of the trees. Distorted and pale, he ran until the sun began to rise, and the world turned gray. A passing truck driver found him hours later, wandering the highway barefoot and mumbling about a promise to feed her. When the police went to the address, they found nothing but the ruins of a burned house. It had been abandoned since 2001, the year Evan Carter's mother, Lydia Holloway, died in a fire trying to save her son. But the strangest part, on the passenger seat of Evan's car, found miles away, sat a sealed food bag still warm, no fingerprints, no receipt, no trace of who ordered it. Just a sticky note inside that read, "Thank you for coming home, dear." There's something deeply unsettling about deliveries. They're supposed to connect people, bring comfort, food, and familiarity. But sometimes, you deliver more than a meal. Sometimes, you deliver yourself into the unknown. If you liked these stories, hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and share this video to support more real-life horror storytelling. And remember, the next time your app sends you to a strange address, maybe just let it time out.